From poppy fields covered in asbestos to Judy Garland smoking 80 cigarettes a day, The Wizard of Oz we all know and love as this bright and colorful story was a much darker tale to the actors who actually performed in this film. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive into the disturbing history of one of the world's most iconic films. This video will change the way you look at The Wizard of Oz forever. Everyone knows the classic film The Wizard of Oz, in which a young girl is carried away by a tornado from her bland farm life in Kansas to the colorful and vibrant land of Oz. It captivated audiences with its use of Technicolor, song, and unique characters to portray life in this fantasy world. Even today, it's hard to watch The Wizard of Oz and not feel a sense of magic and wonder, no matter how many times you've seen it. What most people don't know, however, is that behind the scenes, more than one dark secret about the film was kept from its audience. Judy Garland wasn't the first choice for the lead role of Dorothy. The first choice was 10-year-old Shirley Temple, who at the time was considered America's sweetheart. During auditions, however, it was discovered that Shirley didn't have the vocal range for the musical numbers in the film. The producers then turned to 16-year-old Judy for the role. The part was originally written for a much younger girl than her, so to make up for the age difference, Judy had to lose 12 pounds for the role. She was put on a strict diet of black coffee, chicken soup, and cottage cheese. In order to keep her appetite down, Judy picked up smoking during the filming of the movie, and sometimes smoked up to 80 cigarettes a day. In addition to this malnutrition, Judy was also forced to wear an extremely tight corset to slim her look down even more, and was prescribed amphetamines to control her weight as well. It should be noted that Judy's well-documented struggles with drug addiction didn't start with The Wizard of Oz, as she had already begun taking amphetamines during the filming of prior movies, but the stress of filming this movie definitely contributed to her addiction ramping up. Her drug addiction would unfortunately never improve, and ultimately resulted in her death in 1969. She was made to wear caps on her teeth as well, as they weren't perfectly straight. The production team made her life miserable during filming, and director Victor Fleming even slapped her at one point for giggling on set, ironically during the scene in which she slaps the Cowardly Lion. As if all this wasn't bad enough, many of the actors playing the Munchkins used to touch her without her permission on set, sometimes trying to put their hands underneath her dress. Of course, the production team did nothing to stop this either. While Judy was the star of the movie, she made much less than her male co-stars. She earned roughly $500 per week while filming, while her co-stars, the Tin Man and Scarecrow, earned $3,000 per week. The pay inequity didn't stop there. Toto the dog, who made $125 per week, made more than the Munchkins. Many people don't know this, but the Cowardly Lion's suit was made from real lion hide. As you can imagine, this caused the suit to become really hot when worn. It weighed 90 pounds, and actor Burt Lahr was required to wear it all day long. He would sweat so much that at the end of the day, it took 2 wardrobe specialists to wring out all the sweat so they could hang it up to dry. Getting him into makeup took a very long time, so initially he was required to survive off liquids during the day, such as smoothies, milkshakes, and chicken broth. But since production took years to complete, he eventually had enough and told the team they would just have to suck it up and redo his makeup after he ate lunch. The filming of The Wizard of Oz was notably a poor experience for most of the actors. The original actor who played the Tin Man, Buddy Ebsen, contracted aluminum poisoning from the eye makeup he was required to wear every day and ended up in the hospital. The director kept trying to force him to go back to work even though he was still severely sick and contaminated with the aluminum poisoning. They eventually got tired of waiting around and fired him, thus forcing the replacement actor Jack Haley into the role. Even Jack experienced discomfort playing the Tin Man. The costume was made completely out of metal, and he wasn't allowed to take it off the entire day, so it was impossible to sit down in it. He'd have to lean against a wall if he needed to rest. Like every other costume in this movie for some reason, they decided to create the costume for the Scarecrow as close to reality as possible. This costume was worn by actor Ray Bolger and was made out of real straw, and he was covered with it from head to toe. The straw covered his ears, which made it very hard to hear anything, and he said he often felt like he was shouting his lines instead of saying them since he couldn't hear himself talk. The makeup he had to wear on his face actually left him scarred. He had to wear it all day long, and it burned his face so bad it took a full year for the scars to heal. One of the most iconic scenes in The Wizard of Oz is the scene in which Dorothy accidentally kills the Wicked Witch by throwing water on her and melting her. Well, another scene in the movie actually caused the actress playing the witch, Margaret Hamilton, to go up in flames for real. During a scene where she was supposed to disappear in a puff of smoke in Munchkinland, the trapdoor she was supposed to fall into didn't open. This caused her hat and broom to catch fire and led to her face and hands being badly burned. Paramedics had to use alcohol to take her makeup off, which, surprise surprise, was also toxic and hurt her skin. Margaret Hamilton's face remained green for weeks after filming completed due to the makeup. She refused to do any more smoke scenes after she got out of the hospital, so her stunt double had to stand in for her during those scenes from that point forward. In an effort to treat her like the Wicked Witch for real, the production team gave Margaret a small, depressing dressing room. Meanwhile, the actress playing Glinda the Good Witch got a big, beautiful dressing room. In addition to the difficulties Margaret faced on set, audiences hated her after her performance as the Wicked Witch. They thought she was evil in real life and treated her poorly when they'd see her in public. In the scene where Dorothy and friends fall asleep in the poppy field and then wake up to snow falling on them, the snowflakes were actually made of asbestos, which is a toxic mineral that is known to cause cancer. So far, no deaths of any cast or crew members that worked on this movie have been linked to their asbestos exposure, but Ray Bolger, who played the Scarecrow, did die of bladder cancer in 1987. The color-changing horses got their color from Jell-O. This was not a special effect. Makeup artists changed the horses' color using powdered Jell-O. These scenes had to be shot quickly before the horses could lick the Jell-O from their hair. Due to extreme lighting on set, temperatures could sometimes reach up to 100 degrees and caused carbon dioxide poisoning. This likely made life much worse for the actors who had to suffer through wearing those heavy costumes. Most, if not all, of these disturbing occurrences would result in hefty fines and lawsuits if they occurred today. And since social media hadn't been founded at the time, a lot of mistreatment on set could easily be swept under the rug for decades. There have been other rumors about The Wizard of Oz over the years, such as a Munchkin actor supposedly killing himself on set, which isn't true, by the way. But even without that happening, the truth behind one of the most beloved films in history is much darker than we could have possibly imagined. That's all for now. Thanks for tuning in to another video. Please feel free to voluntarily commit yourself to Asinine Asylum by hitting that like and subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you can be first in line for more true and fascinating horror stories like this. It's farewell for now, my patients, and I'll see you in the next video.